Welcome to the Martin Bailey Photography Podcast. It's October 24, 2019, and this is episode 681. Having updated my Mac machines to Catalina and my iPad Pro to the iPad OS 13, I've continued to be impressed by the Apple Photos app on both operating systems. I don't use these apps for processing my raw images, which continues to be the job of Capture One Pro, and I remain very happy with it. In the past though, I've spoken about how I use Apple Photos, as well as applications that I use to arrange and display portfolios on my iPad, but these latest releases from Apple have changed all that. So I figured I'd post some information today to let you know my current thinking. I updated my iPad to iPad OS 13 first, as it was released a few weeks before Catalina. And the first thing that struck me as I opened the Apple Photos app was the amazing layout in the Days view. I thought initially about saying thumbnail layout as I talked about this, but we're no longer looking at thumbnails. The screen fills with an arrangement of tiles so that no space is left unfilled. Although the cropping is sometimes a little harsh, it really is a visual treat to scroll through your photos. It's also very cool that quite often videos and live photos, the ones that you shoot with an iPhone or iPad that move, actually come to life right there in the tiled layout. I've put together a short video to show you what it looks like to scroll through my photos on the iPad, mostly to give you a sense of how nice the layout is, but also to show you how cool it is to have videos and photos come to life when they have some movement in them. I'll embed the video in the blog post, which you can find at mbp.ac/681. So go and check that out if you're interested. It's about 3 minutes long. As I upgraded my Mac machines to Catalina, I'm also really happy to see that the Photos app on my Mac OS has pretty much mirrored that of the iPad. So we can see images in much the same way, regardless of the device. Even on the iPhone, the layout isn't very different. And that's good to know because I probably show people images on my phone more than any other device, unless I'm meeting them to show some photos, of course. I had hoped to see more widespread use of the tiled image view that we see in the video. But once you're out of the Days tab, you either get a square image or a native aspect ratio view. The other views are still nice, and when you are in the All Photos view, there's an option to switch between the square and aspect ratio thumbnails. On the iPad, there's a text button at the top right of the screen, and on the Mac, there's a small icon on the left top toolbar in the Photos app, so it's nice to have a choice. In the past, I've also posted about how I have been using the iOS app called Portfolio, and before that, I used the Folio Book app, both of which are great apps, but I've decided with the ease of synchronizing my images and the beautiful layout of the Apple Photos app now, to delete the Portfolio app from my iPad. This will also enable me to save some space, as I had 15 gigabytes of JPEGs in my Dropbox just to sync to the Portfolio app. And that is duplicated data because the same images are in the Photos app as well. So I've decided that I don't need them anymore and deleted them from my Dropbox as well. I'm a big believer in streamlining processes, so being able to cut out an extra arm to my workflow is great, while helping me save on disk space. It's not such a big deal on my iMac Pro, where I have a 2TB SSD installed and can store additional files on external drives. But on my laptop, where I only have 1TB and generally like to keep everything I need on the local drive, every gigabyte I can save really helps. Now my process to get my portfolios into Apple Photos and sync to all of my devices is as simple as exporting a JPEG of all of the final select images from my tours and other shoots on my desktop and then drop them into Apple Photos, and I'm done. Within minutes they're uploaded to the cloud, and moments later I can see them on my other devices. If I'm adding a portfolio, to organize my images, I actually create an empty album first and then drag my images into that. That way they're already in the album that represents my portfolio, and they also get added to the photos area so I can see the images in chronological order as well. For almost 10 years now, I've been geotagging my images by attaching a GPS unit to my cameras, and that embeds the location information into all of the images I shoot. It drives me crazy that Canon has, without fail, decided to not include this functionality in the cameras that I buy, but I'm still happy that I've been tagging my images, as it allows Apple Photos to do a number of additional things that I'm really happy with. The first of these is the memories feature. Now, I'm sure this works to a degree even without the GPS data, but because Photos can see exactly where I was when I shot all of the images, it can organize them into trips based on this location, as you can see in this screenshot from my iPad. Sometimes the name is a bit long and includes various images in an over-the-years collection, and other times it's a specific location at a specific time. When you open these memories, again, they look great, and Apple has done a really good job on the AI that decides what to include. The top image with the title on it now cycles through a slideshow of images from the collections right from the start, and there is a play button in the bottom right corner of the title image that launches a slideshow with music that can be customized to the mood of your images. The music can be a little bit like an Apple commercial, and some of the more upbeat stuff is positively corny, but I've spent hours watching slideshows in this format when I'm away from home, and it's no accident that these are called memories, as they often seem to magically include all of the images from trips or locations that make watching them an extra special experience. If you scroll down through the beautifully laid out images towards the bottom of the memory, you'll find a related section that shows, as you'd expect, similar collections or collections from the same location at other times. The other benefit to geotagging your images, though, is above that in the Maps section. Tapping on the map shows all of the images in the memory on a map, and if you tap to show nearby photos, all other images in the Photos app are also displayed on the map. If you're lucky enough to travel, seeing all of your images that you've shot around the globe on a map is an amazing way to enjoy your images. It's also great to remember locations that you'd like to revisit. If I'm driving along and see something that I'd like to go back to later, I generally just grab a quick shot with my iPhone, as these are automatically geotagged and added to your map, so you can tap on them and reference the map later if necessary. My only regret is that I don't have many countries such as India, China, Australia, and Spain and Greece for that matter geotagged. It would be great to see a visual representation of my entire life on the map, but I guess I was born a few decades too late for that to happen. One other feature that deserves a mention, because it's especially useful for photographers, is the sidecar feature, which enables you to use an iPad as a second or even third display for your computer. But because it's an iPad, you can also use the Apple Pencil. Sidecar works either wired with a lightning cable or wirelessly, and having tried both methods, there really isn't a lot of difference in performance. You can also use the touch bar, and there is a sidebar that you can use with additional functionality, but I found that I just turned both of these features off. It was just great being able to use the Apple Pencil directly on the screen, and these will be incredibly useful for working on images. Although I'm starting to use Affinity Photo and Designer on the iPad as well on occasion, and they open the same files that the desktop app uses, so there really isn't a need to work on them in Sidecar shared screen mode. I have been using a little Luna dongle for the last year or so, as that basically enables the same functionality, but with this now built into the OS, I guess I can leave that at home. I'm not overly pleased about things that I buy becoming obsolete, but I do like to streamline my workflow, so having less things to do to achieve the same goals is great. I have found myself using the iPad as a second screen for my MacBook Pro when working down in the family living space. I already have a second screen hooked up to my iMac, but the iPad Pro is pretty much the same size as my 13-inch MacBook Pro screen, so it's really nice to be able to double that up. And so far, all of the applications that I've tried in multi-screen modes have worked seamlessly, just like there was a real second display hooked up. I should note as well, though, that both the Mac OS X Catalina and the Apple Photos app, as of October 2019, are still somewhat buggy. Apple Photos has crashed on me multiple times while preparing this post, and although that never seems to damage or cause any data loss, it's a little bit unnerving to see it crashing regularly, especially if you're new to an application. While I was testing the iPad as an additional monitor, it crashed twice, and both times I was logged out of my iMac, and when I logged back in, I had to rewrite the previous few paragraphs of this post because my browser had also been restarted, and that was a bit of a pain. In fact, as I started to record this episode, I found that the software that I used to record does not support Catalina yet, so I've had to record in a completely different way this week, which took more time than I'd hoped. With Catalina basically rendering any old 32-bit applications useless, as well as stronger sandboxing of apps to prevent them destabilizing the system, it seems to have caused more email asking me to hold on the upgrade than any other Mac OS upgrade that I can remember. And I've definitely seen more things that have stopped working, so it's definitely an upgrade to make with caution. Despite that though, if you use Mac computers or an iPad and are not making use of these apps, I hope this post will give you a nudge to take a look. I really do think that as far as syncing images around your devices goes, this is absolutely the easiest way to go. And the presentation and design, in my opinion, is now better than anything else available in the App Store. Apple gear can be costly, but getting access to apps like these as part of the deal certainly makes up for that, at least to some degree. Thanks very much for listening today. If you enjoy this podcast, please share a link with your friends. Subscribe in iTunes or your favorite podcasts program to ensure uninterrupted delivery. If you have a moment to rate the podcast or leave us a review in iTunes, that helps to keep us relevant in the huge number of podcasts out there now. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. Links to everything that I'm up to are at martinbaileyphotography.com, so do drop by and take a look. I'll be back next week with another episode, but in the meantime, you take care and have a great week, whatever you're doing. Bye-bye.